Assalamualaikum everyone. Welcome to the Ramadan 2022 lecture talk series brought to you by Babul in Bani Hashim Society, Mississauga, Ontario. Um, this lecture series is focused on societal well-being. The topic is the roadmap to self-replication, not just at the individual level, but at the societal level. My name is Ehsaan Rizvi, and we've been talking about societal well-being. The two topics that we've discussed so far is our relationship with the neighbors and how our conduct should be for our neighbors. In the second topic, we actually talked about our conduct with the community at large, with the community members. And today, we are going to talk about gadgets and social networking. This is a very interesting topic, and I think very timely as well, because with the advent of so many devices, with so many social networking tools, I think it's very, very important to actually discuss what are the benefits as well as dangers of these tools and devices that we have available right now. Obviously, these things have made our life a lot easier, but we need to identify potential problems that arise because of the use and the growing use of these means of communication with others on the internet, right? And then we will also touch upon some of the strategies that we can use to effectively and efficiently use these gadgets and tools to our advantage and try to stay away from the harms and ills that these devices may cause. We'll start with a verse in the Quran. It's chapter number 96, verse number 14, Surah Al-Alaq, because it says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alam ya'lam bi anna Allah yara. Does he, man, not know that Allah sees everything he does? I wanted to set the stage with this verse is because everything we do, as a Muslim, we do believe that is actually visible to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So whether we do in secret or out in the open, we are cognizant of the fact that it is being looked at, and so it definitely changes or it gives us the perspective of how we should always be at our best, no matter if it's like how small or big that interaction or that act is. Similarly, our interaction with neighbors, with other people, with members of the community. It's not a small act. It has great repercussions. It directly impacts the functioning of a community, as we've discussed in yesterday's lecture as well. So without further ado, now that we have that context in mind, let's talk about gadgets and social networking. We often see a lot of people, are always on their devices. And it's really, these devices and tools are really omnipresent. It's very hard to not see one in your surrounding. Now, these things could include video games. The internet is a big thing. Like people are surfing on the internet for all sorts of information. The computers are everywhere, laptops, mobile phones, tablets, and like a myriad of other devices. We need to consider that have they become part of our lives, or have they taken over our lives? Are we in control of them, or are we controlling them? And some of the questions that you may want to ask yourself is, if you are, let's say, on a device, you may want to ask that, should I be on this device and stay in my room, or should I be outside playing and maybe getting fit, or doing some kind of physical exercise or a physical activity that would have physical benefits? And I'm putting some questions out there just so that whenever you are on a device, you are asking those questions yourself, right? For example, Another scenario could be if your elders are calling you while you are on your device and you are very much involved in that game that you're playing on your device, what you want to do at that time? Would you consider helping your parents at that moment in time, or would you think that let me finish this game first and then maybe uh, go later to help out? What if you didn't have any device at that time? Would you think that way or not? I'm just giving you that perspective to how these devices and these tools that have become part of our lives have changed our way of thinking as well. Other things may include if you are on device and you keep on delaying, let's say a homework, a home assignment that you have, something on the project that you've been working on is being delayed because you're spending way too much time on these tools. Consider how you are talking to your friends over devices now, and maybe FaceTiming them or chatting them through different tools that are available out there instead of physically interacting with them or having them over to play with them. And does that make any difference in your level of friendship that you have with that person? Is it much stronger or weaker compared to if you were playing with them physically or if you were meeting with them in person? Um, and sometimes, like one of the other things that you might consider is sometimes you are, watching something on your device, and the next thing you know, 4 hours have gone by. And does that cause you know, bad temper issues? Does that cause any change of mood for you? All these questions, I think, should be considered whenever you are, working on a device, whenever you are using a device. We all know gadgets can be addictive, right? They make us act in a way that may not be aligned with many of the principles that our religion has put forth, right? One of the principles is we should always remember that Allah is always watching us, as we have discussed. We should try to behave in the best way possible, no matter what we're doing, right? And we are also taught in the religion to live a balanced and moderate life and not just spend too much time on one thing. If you're just spending too much time on our gadget, that means we're not fulfilling our other responsibilities. Because remember, if you are uh, if you're doing access in one aspect of life, then that definitely means that it's at the detriment of something else that you need to do. It's at the detriment of your other duties, at the cost of your other responsibilities. It may cause you to behave in a way that is not fully aligned with Islamic teachings. So that would mean that we're actually misusing them, right? Um, Another important point to remember is that anything, no matter what tool, no matter what social media it is, anything that makes us forget that Allah and our responsibilities, then that thing is not allowed in Islam, right? He says in the Quran, I'm going to give this verse, chapter number 59, verse number 19. ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون. It's a very, very, it's a serious verse, and I'm going to translate it now. Do not be like those who forget Allah, so He makes them forget their own souls. It is they who are the transgressors. It's very clear, very clear. Anything that will make you forget Allah is not acceptable. And there should be moderation and balance in every aspect of your life, right? Now, we've talked about gadgets. Gadgets are definitely all around, like you name it, you name any activity, and we have a gadget for that. If you are going out for a run, you have like a watch that is going to track your movement, and it's good. I'm not saying we should stop using them. These things are extremely useful and has some great benefits. They're able to monitor our health. They're able to tell us what things we want to do, how much more exercise we want to get done. So all those things are being useful, and that's what I want to talk about. Like, we're talking about balance. We're not talking about um, just dropping the use of these whatsoever, right? So there has to be a balance, um, but we want to make sure that we do not cross the line or overusing them or abusing the devices such that they cause us to forget our other responsibilities and duties. Now, let me also talk about social networking. So we've talked about gadgets and devices. They are in itself taking a lot of time from the day for us. What about social networking? So, I mean, it has enabled some very good things. We are able to communicate with people um, who are further away from us. You can, video call them, and you're much more sort of in communication with them than you were when these social networking sites were not there. You're able to see what they're doing. Sometimes they're posting about their activities. If they're eating outside or posting stuff, you're able to know, and probably it enables some level of communication there as well. So it's constantly giving us prompts and opportunities to be connected with people who we may not be in touch otherwise, right? We have so many video calling tools right now. We've got Skype, FaceTime, and WhatsApp. Um, and we can use them to our advantage. The only key thing is how much time are we spending on these devices, because in Islam we have a way to behave and speak with other people. We've been taught that way, and we have to remember that these principles are like, no matter whether you are actually talking to a person face to face or through a device, through a video call, through any social networking medium. Because oftentimes what you'll see is on social networks, people think they can just hide behind a certain facade, and that gives them they think that that gives them uh, the they think that they can actually talk about anything and they can say anything to anyone, and they're sometimes they're at their absolute worst, right? But we have certain principles when we are talking to others. Like, again, like I said, even on social media, we have to ask ourselves, do we know whom we are chatting with? um, am I wasting time with idle chit chat? Am I just randomly talking to random people with no aim or objective or goal in my mind? Am I greeting people properly? Am I talking to someone, and is it going to be useful that for that person or not? Or am I just doing backbiting, or am I backbiting? Am I doing eva, which is extremely bad and forbidden? Do I call people by names, by hurtful nicknames? If I don't agree with them, do I insult them? Um, do I speak with them in a nice manner, using nice words, or am I cursing them, using curse words and swearing at them? Do other people's pictures make me jealous? They're going on a vacation. If someone's going on a vacation, posting their pictures, does it make me jealous? And all these things have to be considered, because they will impact your action. They will impact your behavior and your conduct. Um, these are some of the things that you might want to ask. Now, similarly, let's say if you're the one who's posting content. Let's say you're not talking to someone, you're just posting content. You might want to ask yourself, oh, am I showing off? Am I doing this to make other people feel bad? You also want to see that the content that you're posting, if it's a conversation, is it appropriate? Is it uh, are you just you know talking about some useful stuff? Is it going to be harmful to someone, or is it beneficial? You also probably want to ask, let's say if you're on the internet, you're not posting stuff, but you're just aimlessly browsing through people's profiles. Are you trying to find something bad about them? Is that the index? So all these things should be um, should be in your mind whenever you're posting stuff as well. I mean, the first and foremost, obviously, uh, we've talked about it in the past as well. Are you telling the truth? If something that you're posting, is that a truth? Is that just based on a certain doubt that you have, or is it grounded on some principles, right? Are you doing your due diligence to post to research before you actually can post out there for others to see? Because remember, it has an impact. People who are going to be reading it may think that, okay, because they're your close friend, they may just believe it, and they may not do their own research. So it's actually starting from your post, and if it's not accurate and valid, then people may be misled, which you absolutely do not want. Now, these are all the principles and considerations that you definitely should be taking into account whenever you're dealing with social media. We have a narration by our sixth Imam, Jafar Sadiq alayhi salam, and he said, the secrets that you must show before your friends are only those through which your enemies cannot harm you. For a friend may change into an enemy. So this is for your own protection as well. Now, things nowadays, people post just about anything on the internet, right? But what this narration is actually telling us is, it doesn't take long for a friend to actually become an enemy. If that secret information, there is some information, some sensitive information that you think might cause harm to you. You must have seen there's so many cases where identity thefts are going on because someone just posted their personal sensitive information and they thought it was friends. Even if the friends are not abusing that information, it could be a friend of a friend who might have gotten hold of that information and may use it for negative purposes or may use it to harm you. Now let's consider a scenario. What goes on these days? In this scenario, we'll consider a boy named Shahid, and it's his birthday. He's surrounded by presents. He's got two sisters. One of the sister gave him a best bro badge, and another sister, she gives her a book, and he's extremely happy. Let's say the boy's name is Shahid. He's extremely happy with the presents, and now he looks at a box that is by his parents. So he actually smiles and opens up the box, and there it is, a brand new iPhone. He is ecstatic. He thanks his parents, mom and dad. He's extremely happy with it, and he just forgets, and he immediately switches the phone on and gets on with it. He forgets about the book, forgets about the badge. All he is really involved with from now on is that iPhone. The parents, a little time passes by. The parents called. They say they call Shahid to come downstairs and eat and eat his birthday breakfast. And he's like, okay, I'm coming. And time passes, and then he is still in his room. Parents, they call him again for the fifth time, and that's what he says, that he's gonna come down. He goes to school the next day. All he talks about is that iPhone, and it becomes annoying for others as well. The social interaction, it is becoming less and less as he continues to play, let's say, brain crushers on his iPhone. This goes on and on. He's not able to play because he's spending so much time on his iPhone. He's not able to play with his younger sisters anymore. Um, and they are also unhappy about it. He becomes so addicted that he even begins to stop handing his assignments, let's say, right? So this one day, they're all getting ready for their weekly visit to the mosque, and the scholar there talks about the bad effects of these devices. He said that if you become addicted to them, they could really make you stop some good habits, and they could make you selfish because you will just begin to think about your pleasure, and you will think that is more important than the people around you who love you. And the main crux of the message that the scholar was trying to say was that use these devices wisely and not to become a slave to them, right? and then it dawns on Shahid that this has been happening to him ever since he got the iPhone. He really thought that, oh my gosh, I am not able to think about the people around me. I'm not able to think about the duties I have towards others because I've been spending way too much time on this device. And the next day he apologizes to everyone and realizes that it's a cool gadget, should be used in its time, but not in the family time. You should be able to carve a time to play games with his friends, with his sisters. Schoolwork is extremely important as well. And he realized that the selfish addiction led to destruction. So basically, the moral of the story is time is really extremely precious, and these devices can take too much of your time and stop you from um, interacting with others or fulfilling your duties and obligations towards others. And this scenario is pretty common, right? We have to consider that we might have been in this scenario ourselves as well. So maybe ask yourself these questions like, okay, how much do you use your devices, if at all, if you use these devices? I'm sure a lot of us do. Maybe ask yourself, what do you use them for? Is there like a specific work purpose? Are you using them for entertainment? Um, and then maybe third, ask yourself, are these gadgets distracting you from your responsibilities? If you ask these three questions, again, how much do you use them? What do you use them for? What is the purpose? How much do you use them? What is the purpose? And are they distracting you from your main responsibilities? If you have if you are able to find answers to these questions, then you know what you have to do if they are taking you in the negative direction or the positive direction. I say that because I want to make a very important point here. Whatever time you spend on your device, that cannot be. So time is something that you can use once, and now you cannot, go back and change it. Consider a story. So a younger woman said something on WhatsApp, just way too common. People post random stuff on WhatsApp, and she unintentionally insulted her best friend on a WhatsApp. Obviously, she regretted it immediately uh, and wanted to do anything to, take her words back, right? So she goes to the elder and a wiser woman in the village. She explains the situation. She tells her, can you tell me something? My friend's really upset. I want to take my words back and I want to make amends. Um, the old lady tells her, yes, there are two things that you can do to make amends. The first thing is extremely difficult. So I'll tell you the first thing, and when you are done with it, I'll tell you what to do next, what if the next step is. She's like, okay, I'll do it. So what is that the first step that you want me to do? She's like, okay, go and take your best feather pillows and take those feathers out from the pillow and put them on the doorstep of each and every house in the town. It's a humongous task, right? She told me this is step number one. If you can do it, then I'll tell you the second. The younger woman, she hurries back to home. She's like, I know she's got a long night ahead. She does that. She takes out the feather from the pillow, puts it at the doorstep of each and every house in the town, taking care not to overlook a single house. Her fingers were frozen. It was outside. The wind was sharp, but she did it anyways, right? And she was thankful that there was something that she could do to put things back the way they once were. As the sun rose, she returns to the older woman. She tells her that this is what I've done. My pillows are empty. Please tell me what I need to do. What is the second thing that I need to do? Well, the older woman said, well, go back and refill your pillows with the same feathers and everything will be as it was before. The younger woman was actually shocked. She was like, that's impossible. The wind probably blew all those feathers away. I don't know where they would be. How can I fill them back? And you didn't say I had to get them back. So if this was the second requirement, then things will never be the same. The old woman replied, exactly true. Never forget that each of your words is like a feather in the wind. Once you've spoken it, no amount of effort, regardless how heartfelt or sincere, it cannot be taken back. It cannot return to your mouth. You have to choose your words well and guard them most of all. So I think the moral of the story is pretty clear. We need to make sure that whenever we are talking, whenever you're posting stuff. And because these mediums that we have, it has become so easy for us to post random stuff without even knowing if it's going to hurt someone or not. We're just being very, very carefree about it. So we've already talked about how Allah is watching us all the time. So that should be enough to hold us back from posting stuff that might insult someone. But if not, we should also understand that we cannot take it back. So I think we've talked about how the devices and the social networking has become so much a part of our life. If I want to give you, I probably can give you like one statistic as well that can tell you about the scale of this. As much as, according to one statistic, as much as 40% of people socialize on the internet rather than face-to-face, right? Now, it's not bad to actually socialize on the internet. That's okay, but as long as we know what are the etiquettes do not change. We do not get the right to insult someone just because we are socializing with them online. We have to make sure that also, no matter how we socialize, we do it in the right way. The etiquettes, the duties towards others, we're cognizant of that, right? And then I think we have these gadgets and these social networking tools. We should be grateful that we're living in this world where we have everything, and there are just so many blessings and conveniences for us, right? Fortunate that we have a gadget or a mobile device because we're luckier than billions of other people in the world. It's really important that we are content with what we have. It means we do not always complain and demand, like, let's say, the latest version. If we have like an iPhone 12 and the next thing you know, like after a few days, we're like, oh no, I need like an iPhone 13. Just because a new version has come out or just because our friends have one should not be the reason why we should go for another latest version. So we have a duty to struggle in his way and use those blessings to better ourselves. So those blessings are there to serve a purpose, and to have a latest version of a certain device is not really a great purpose. We also need to think how these devices can be used to make ourselves better. How can we use them to help others? And not just using them for entertainment or pleasure or idle chit chat. Some ways you can do this is you can use this device to, let's say, read du'as. You can show from prayers. You can use them to keep yourself updated with important world news. What is happening with your community? What is happening around yourselves? It's always important to keep yourself in the know. You could follow or start campaigns that are helping other people. You can support them, and obviously, you always want to make sure that you are spreading the truth. If you know of truth, you're helping to spread that truth. And those are some of the good things that you can actually do with these devices. So again, I'll just wrap this up. I think we talked about this very important topic, and it's actually, like I said, it's very important as well in today's day and age. Gadgets can be useful as well as harmful. You have to make sure that they have not overcome your life and you're not spending too long on your devices. Just remember, Allah is always watching you, so you have to be at your best, no matter whether you're meeting a person online or face to face. And then make sure that you are taking care of your other duties as well, and you're making sure that these devices or the time that you spend on social networking is not making you forget your duties towards other people. With that, I'm gonna wrap today's session. Thank you so much for joining, and inshallah, I'll see you tomorrow. Allah Hafiz.